In this episode, we're going to be talking about electronic throttles and how do you deal with electronic throttle. Of course, there's all the procedures for testing them on the vehicle, and that works out great. But if you're a little confused on the wiring or concerned about the driver circuit in the computer or such, before you go ahead and purchase a brand new component, and they're brutally expensive as we know, one of the other options that you have is to actually go ahead and do a bench testing of it. And bench testing of electronic throttle is not real complicated. I don't recommend you feeding 12 volts to it. That is not really a good option. Some people tell you to do that, but they slam open and slam closed, or I should say they slam open like a mousetrap. So it can be very hard on it. You're really not going to find much information. So what I simply use is I just have a simple pulse width modulated control driver, just an inexpensive item that's on eBay or off Amazon for about $20. And I simply set it up so it's got 12 volts coming in, and it's going to send out it's going to be based on a frequency, so I have it set at 200 hertz. This is a number that I've been working with. 200 hertz at a 25% duty cycle. So what it's going to simply do is it's going to simply pulse that motor, and we'll be able to see if it opens and closes mechanically fine. And in this particular case, so we've hooked up here to our motor leads. The pins are relatively easy to find. I got the snap-on kit. Got the snap-on kit with all the different adapters, real handy. You can make up your own. This works real nice because it simply interfaces with the meter easily. But plug in there, takes a little bit of an eyeball to look inside a connector, but once you get her hooked up, so I supplied the positive and the negative, and then I'm going to just simply check TPS or position sensor, the position sensor, throttle position, number 1 signal. So remember, it's a flip-flop. So we're just going to check the 1 to do the verification. So let's go ahead and get it running. This is how simple it is. Once you have the wiring hooked up, one additional thing, and this is an oldie that I have, but you can go with a lot of different options. I have a little 5-volt power supply. I put it in an old school film canister. It wasn't old school when I did it. And then it just got some leads that hook up to the battery. So I've got my plus and minus to a voltage regulator, and then it's simply coming out of the wires here, and it's hooking up to that throttle position. So I'll be able to supply the 5 volts to it, and that's what you're seeing over here. So we're at the closed throttle position. I'm going to go ahead at this point here, and I'm going to operate it. We can see how smoothly that opened. I could monitor. But you notice that the meter went into auto range. So what we're going to do is we're going to just simply change the position here so it doesn't auto range. Let's go ahead and run the test again. If you observed here, we have the current, and that is simply that 200 hertz at 25% duty cycle being turned on and off. So we're simply watching the motor as it's being exercised. So we'll see if there's any bad spots, any binding, and then as you can also see mechanically the gears, it works real smooth. You can hear even audibly. Mechanically it's working. That sensor is working. Only one last test would be is to go to the other side. But for sake of time, we'll just cut it at this point here. But you can see this is a relatively simple process. Doesn't take too much. I even had a chance to use my old carburetor standoffs. You won't ever think you'd use them again. Well, they're being used. I still do some carburetors, but I appreciate you, everybody watching. Make sure you subscribe, comment, and appreciate your time, and have a most wonderful day.